Say this out loud as you're driving around in your car.
Join Sports Skillet.
Just what it feels like.
So how do you like it?
So what is it? I'm curious.
You like it like this?
My God, do we love football.
Or like this?
I love the sport of baseball.
And what about this?
You can have a sports show without all the vicious talk.
Simple human decency.
Whatever it is that you like.
Yeah, I like chaos.
We've got it covered.
Right?
It's sports the way you like it.
My friends, you may not know this. It's got everything you want.
Here we go. Local and national sports talk that's fresh, in season, and FDA approved. If it's hot, you'll find it cooking with Jeff, Jay, and Kelly. They don't just stir the pot, they add more flavor than the other guys. Get ready to dig in and taste some Sports Skillet.
Tastes good.
Right now.
And welcome to another edition of the Sports Skillet live stream, emanating right here from the CSB studios in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. We've got a hot show lined up for you. Going to be talking a ton of sports topics with you. Of course, we're going to be talking Phillies and Eagles like we always do. A lot of NFL topics to get to as well. Eli Manning was benched. Did the Cleveland Browns prove they are contenders with OBJ this past week? They defeated the Jets 23-3. Expectations for Antonio Brown going forward. Got some breaking news on him coming up. Cowboys surpassed the Eagles as favorites to win the division. Eagles dropped their game last week while the Cowboys won, so the Cowboys are a game ahead of the Eagles. Has Patrick Mahomes locked up the MVP award? Cam Newton's status versus the Arizona Cardinals going forward. Their head coach, former Eagles defensive coordinator, had an issue with the press. He stormed off. Cam Newton's status, we talked about that. The Jaguars want 2 first-round picks in any trade for cornerback Jalen Ramsey. We have some breaking news on that as well. Jets quarterback Sam Darnold is back at the team facilities and is feeling good. Hopes to be back on the field for the Week 5 game against those Philadelphia Eagles. Brady fired up about the Thursday Night Football refs coming from the game last night. So we got some breaking news on the Eagles as well. And again, we thank you for joining us here on our Friday live stream. We want to encourage you to also check us out every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. We have great guests as well on the show. Got an awesome one coming up this coming Sunday. And, of course, we want to remind you to download our app at sportsskilletradio.com. Go there for all the show updates, show clips, podcasts, things like that. And, of course, check us out on our social media channels, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and here on YouTube. Hit like, follow, and subscribe because we don't want you missing out on any of our great contests or anything we got coming up. So we want to remind you to go ahead and follow us on our social media channels. All you have to do is do a search for Sports Skillet and we'll pop up. And, of course, we begin the show every Friday afternoon by bringing in our good friend Ken Moskowitz. Ken, first of all, can you let everybody know how they can find you on social media?
Sure thing. Good afternoon to you, gentlemen. You all can find me on Facebook at Ken Moskowitz, parenthesis crossing guard Ken, and Skywarn Spotter Ken, both on Twitter and on Instagram.
Awesome. We will make sure that they do that. And, of course, I have Jeff Scott in the studio with me today as well. So lots of things to digest, lots of things to go over, Ken. Want to get the Phillies out of the way first, or you want to go straight on with the Philadelphia Eagles?
Let's get the fightings out of the way first.
Okay. I've been saying they're done since the end of July, that they were going to finish behind those pesky New York Mets. As we look at it right now, the Phillies are behind the Mets by a half a game. Mets have a record of 79 and 73. Phillies have a record of 78 and 73. So their percentage points are a half a game behind the New York Mets. Mets are 3.5 games out of a wild card. Phillies are 4 games out of that second wild card spot. Doesn't look good for the Phillies. They had to go out and pretty much win every single game. And yesterday afternoon, they dropped one to those Atlanta Braves. But they didn't win the series.
And who else was pitching? You know, who was pitching?
Aaron Nola. The Phillies.
None other than Aaron Nola. I mean, now I will say, looking at the numbers for Nola yesterday, not really wanted to, at best. At best, it was slightly okay, but I would have to say it wasn't one of his best outings. I'm not going to lie to you. But, I mean, look, tragic number, or for our case, you know, in order to rid of Gabe Kapler, it would be our magic number of 7 games to go. So, you know, look, yeah, it really, Jay, it's only a matter of days, in my opinion, and in my prediction as well. It's only a matter of days. And we all know, you know, that 7 is a combination of, you know, our losses, Mets wins, both Cubs and Milwaukee as well. So, I mean, you know, like, I mean, yeah, and I get it. Anything can happen, don't get me wrong, but at this stage of the game, you know, we're nearing the end. It's not looking good. Any way you slice it, overall, it's not looking good. So, you know, and Nola, I believe, if I'm doing my math correctly, may have another 2 starts left, I believe. So, you know, I mean, look, and like we discussed too, okay, off air, you know, we discussed it, and we both are on the same page with it too. But doesn't matter, and any fan, I encourage and dare any fan to tell me different, any other Philly fan different. But you know what? Doesn't matter if it's, you know, if they finish the season with 85 wins, 84 wins, 79, or you know, 79. Any number, you know, out of the ordinary is garbage. It's pure garbage. I mean, you know, and I mean, yeah, they may surpass that number last year of 80, but still, it's garbage. It's just a number, just like
Bingo.
age. It's just a number. It's flush it down the toilet big time. I mean, it's
Bingo.
The season from the end of May onward, okay, is just one inexcusable farce of the season. It really overall has, and you know, and also on the same page as well, like you said too, Jay, off air as well as on air. You know, the kick the can down the road attitude that you know Gabe has had pretty much overall. You know, and that too is inexcusable for a manager, for a professional baseball manager, for a Major League Baseball team. It's just there's no excuses, none whatsoever.
Oh, I agree with you. And here's the thing, Ken, and what galls me is, you know, people will blame Matt Klentak, will put him in there, and yes, maybe at the trading deadline, he didn't go out and he didn't acquire top-line talent. I understand that. But here's the thing. At that time, the Phillies didn't deserve to get top-flight talent. For him to go out and commit multiple years, millions of dollars to a top-flight starter when the Phillies were in decline. And I said this about Gabe Kapler. It started last season in August. He couldn't pull them out of their decline. When they started losing in the beginning of August last year, he could not stop the losing. Whatever he tried, he could. The atmosphere that he created in the clubhouse with the kick the can, like you said, kick the can down the road. Everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows and Skittles and all that stuff tomorrow.
Yep.
That's a clubhouse, like, okay, we lost today, and not putting the players to task, not criticizing them in the media, not holding the players accountable, created this atmosphere where, okay, we don't have, country club atmosphere where it's a day at the ball yard, sunshine and rainbows and Skittles and unicorns and all that. No, you have to hold these guys accountable. When this team starts tanking, you have to change your managerial style. And he never did that last year from August to the end of the season. And then this year, it started earlier. It started the beginning of June. Again, he couldn't get the team from tanking. He couldn't stop the losing. Same guy, same thing happened. It just happened earlier. Clintack, if I was in Clintack's spot, I wouldn't have paid top dollar for a starter because you'd be beholden to whomever you went out and acquired at the trade deadline, which may prevent you from signing somebody else, somebody better. But what Clintack did do, and I give him credit for, is he did go out and he did get good bats. Jay Bruce is a good bench bat. He did go out and he did sign Andrew McCutchen to start off the season. It wasn't his fault. McCutchen got hurt.
Right.
He
then there was Chris Dickerson later on.
Corey Dickerson. Corey Dickerson, he went out, signed him. Excellent replacement. But again, it's not his fault that Corey Dickerson got hurt. Now, again, maybe he pinned too much hopes on Roman Quinn, because we all know that Roman Quinn is a hurt waiting to happen. You just don't know when. Right. So maybe he pinned too many of his hopes on Roman Quinn. Understandable, and he didn't know what's his face with the sexual assault.
Odubel Herrera.
Odubel Herrera. He didn't foresee that happening, so he thought he would have Odubel Herrera to at least trade or do something with at the deadline. Some maneuverable pieces there. He expected the starting pitching staff, your Nick Pavetta's and your Zach Eflin's and your Velasquez's to take another step. And I don't fault him for that, because that's what you want your young talent to do year to year. You want your young talent to take the next step. What I do criticize him for, what I will hold Clintack accountable for, is Chris Young. Getting rid of a good pitching coach that he had and putting all his faith in Chris Young, who had never had the experience of managing a major league pitching staff before. I will criticize him for that because, to me, that hasn't worked out at all, because I can't see any of his young pitchers coming forward and taking that next step. So I will hold Chris Young accountable for that. But I will hold Gabe Kapler accountable for not getting the most out of his talent. You can put a certain lineup together and keep that lineup together so that it gels, so that it hits, so that if somebody does well one game, they know that for the next game, I'm going to be in the starting lineup. That's not how Gabe operates. You can do well. You can hit 2 home runs, a triple, and a double in one game, and you're benched the very next game. That's what I hold Gabe accountable for.
Yeah, perfect example would be Roman Quinn earlier in the season, too, like we discussed. I mean, and like we mentioned, too, Gabe, I mean, it's just what you have. You have who you have that's on the injured list. And we get it. Well, work with who you have as far as what your next top talent is that's on the bench, and get them together. And again, time and time again, I've said this all along. He's not a Charlie Manuel type where he gets the ball players into the game. He doesn't get them, rounded up and say, look, you know what, we got to go out there and we got to play, whether you like it or not. And, and I'd still attest to Charlie's, with way of what he did in 2010. Okay. I mean, you had your top talent injured for the most part, and at least offensively, and he still managed to for a duration of the season, at some point or another, rattled off 55, 56 wins without, your top talent. That would be the same with Gabe had he gone with his gut, had he gone with, his mental instinct as opposed to analytic instinct.
Yep, absolutely. And like you said, as we said, we don't care what number they finish this season in win total. Okay? When we went into this season and you and I had discussions, we were doing the live stream, I think we both were anticipating the Phillies to contend for the division title this year. I thought it would be a 4-team race between Atlanta, the Nationals, the Phillies, and the Mets. And it turned out to be the Phillies for the first 2 months. Gabe Kapler, the Phillies cratered, as my dad gave him a lot of credit, expected them to. Gabe Kapler was a fish out of water. Again, had no answers, could not pull him out of the losing. The Mets looked, come the end of June. Mets were even looking bad the end of June. You had players fighting the media, people criticizing the manager, how long till Mickey Callaway gets fired. They were an absolute train wreck. As bad as the Phillies were, at least they were holding things together in the clubhouse, right? Mets were an absolute train wreck through the All-Star break, through the end of June, through the All-Star break. And now you see what the Mets are. The Mets are ahead of the Phillies. Train wreck and all. Give Mickey Callaway credit. He pulled the team together enough to where they overtook the Phillies. This Phillies team that was way ahead of the New York Mets. The Mets were an afterthought in the Phillies' rearview mirror. And right now we're looking up at the Mets, who are a train wreck before the All-Star game. That tells you how bad a job Gabe Kapler did, how awful he was as a manager. Because even if they went 500, right, at that point, even if they did something good from the All-Star game on, the Mets wouldn't have been able to catch him. And he couldn't even do that. It just galls me. It frustrates me. I was going back with a friend of mine on social media yesterday, and here's the thing. He was telling me how much the Braves suck, how much they haven't been relevant since, like, the 90s. And I had to put him in his place, Ken. Maybe you'll disagree with me, but I was like, relevant? You want to talk about a team not being relevant? That is the Philadelphia Phillies. Tell me I told him the last time the Phillies were relevant were like 2012 when they won the division. Since that time, since like 2013, the Atlanta
not to interrupt you. 2011 was the fifth and final year.
All right, 2011. Yep.
Fifth and final year for the division title alone. 2012, they ended up 81-81.
Yeah, I think they made the playoffs though. I think
2012 now.
No, okay. So 2011 was the last time the Phillies were relevant, and
right.
And I said to him, the Braves, since that time, the Braves have won 3 division titles, and going into the games today, the Braves are now 14.5 games ahead of the Philadelphia Phillies. Don't tell me the Braves are not relevant. Don't tell me the Braves are not way ahead of the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, we'll see what happens going into next year, because each year is its own story, its own book in itself. But to say the Braves are not relevant, they are way more relevant than the Philadelphia Phillies. Phillies haven't been relevant since, like we said, 2011. If you want to tell me a team sucks, that would be the Philadelphia Phillies. If you want to tell me a team is not relevant, that would be the Philadelphia Phillies. And don't tell me the Braves suck or are not relevant, because they've been a hell of a lot more relevant than the Philadelphia Phillies have been.
Yeah, I think it's, you know what it is. I think with your friend there, and I know who you're referring to, and I know he's a good guy.
He is.
I think it's just you know what it is. I think it's just like the way you, everybody else. We're all frustrated, and it's, we have every right to be.
Exactly.
There's no doubt about it. I think he just. Misplaced his words a bit, or his name, or the name, as far as the team goes, I mean, overall, yes, we really, honestly, and to attest to that, to add on to that, look, the last time we were in it, we managed to play a full first round. With obviously Ryan Howard at the very end in the last out, he ended up blowing his Achilles.
Yeah.
And that was the end right there.
Yep.
Now, 2012, up and down all around, but I managed to end up finishing 81 and 81. All right, which considering the circumstances that year, it wasn't all that bad. Because of the fact that I kept hearing all along, unlike the Mets, there was still that talk yet in 2012, another 5 years from. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Phillies back in 2012, it would only be another 2 years. We're only 2 years away. Well, look where we're at now. We will be completing, year number 6. Year number 7
of the rebuild.
We will be 7 years behind schedule. I mean, it really.
Look at
no two way. Yeah, go ahead.
And look at the Atlanta Braves rebuild. We started the rebuild at the same time, or maybe a little bit, around the same time as the Atlanta Braves did. With their rebuild, and we had our owners shell out millions of dollars, get one of the best free agents on the market in Bryce Harper, get one of the best shortstops in baseball in Gene Segura, giving up our young shortstop in the process, signing the best catcher in baseball in JT Realmuto.
Yep.
Moving Rhys Hoskins back to his normal position at first base. And we finished 14 and a half games behind the Atlanta Braves.
I hear, believe me, I hear you. I mean, it's and this is the other thing too, what really gets me with the analytics too. Plays a part too, where you have these unknowns who may have, losing records, okay, that and yet these odd categories that they're high, on the hog when it comes to the computer and that this is where they're good. Okay, so let's bring them up. I'm telling you, this is where I say about the tragic number overall would be 7 to be eliminated. In this case, for me, in the 39 years that I followed this team, my opinion, 7 would be the magic number in terms of ridding what hopefully would be going back to Phillies baseball the way you, Jay, I, and Phillies Nation know it very well. I mean, look, and I say it again, it could work. It may work for the Athletics. It may work for the Astros. It may work for the Yankees, Dodgers. It's a given. It's a given. It does not work for Philadelphia Phillies baseball. it just doesn't. Plain and simple. End of story. I mean, we need to go back. We need to go back and go the old school Philadelphia Phillies baseball way that we know it very well.
Yeah.
Ground and pound.
Bunting.
See the ball, hit the ball. We need that.
Bunting, stealing bases, fundamental baseball. Yes, I completely agree with you. I would love to find a manager that can embrace both sides of the equation. That, accepts analytics for what it is, uses it as a tool, but also can manage by what his eyes and his gut is telling him. Like if a starting pitcher is having a good game and is getting the side out, leave him in the game. I don't care that he's around 95, 100 pitches. Leave him in the game. Let him pitch another inning. Let's win the game. Let's not, okay, it's 100 pitches. We got to take him out because I've got this guy in the bullpen and he gets out left-handers. No. If you have a starting pitcher in the game and he's knocking them down and he's striking guys out and he's getting outs, I don't care what his pitch count is. Leave him in the game. He's getting outs.
Yeah. I mean, it could go to 200 pitches. It could go to 250. I personally don't care myself. It's strategic. It's fundamental. And as far as I'm concerned, with the way the baseball Major League Baseball listened to the fans overall about the speed of the game, the time frame of the game and all that. Well, I'm sorry to say it's contradictory. I mean, there are a few games already this year have went 4 hours. So I mean, don't tell me, don't give me the time of day when it comes to the speed of baseball. And I mean, like between the meetings on the mound, between your battery mates alone, and then you have the infield conversion to see what's our next play. From that to the the duels. All right, between the pitcher and a batter. Okay, I'm sorry, I enjoyed that. When's the last time have I seen a duel in which the pitcher keeps throwing at the bat and it's foul ball after foul ball, or and the batter tries to fight it off as much as possible? I mean, I'll never forget it. I believe there was one duel in which it might have been close to a half hour before the inning ended. Alone with that, that's what I miss. What I miss. And with analytics, I don't care what anybody tells me. With analytics, you don't see that. There's a lot that you don't see thanks to the so-called high-tech age, if you want to call it that. I mean, it's not baseball. It's not baseball, period.
No, it's not. I want you to take a listen to something real quick, Ken, if I could. I want to play you a clip from yesterday's Mike Francesa show.
Okay.
Let's see.
I hate to say it, but you look like a terrible team. So you're not good at anything. I mean, so you got a really good running back, and you got a good kicker who missed a field goal yesterday. But other than that, you don't look very good at anything. You can't get the ball in the end zone, and you can't stop anybody. That's a hard combination.
Well, those are things that we got to work on as we move forward.
So that was a clip from the Mike Francesa show yesterday, and apparently and that was with the Giants head coach, Pat Shurmur, used to be a offensive coordinator here for the Philadelphia Eagles, and apparently after that appearance on the Mike Francesa show, Pat Shurmur went out and he will no longer be appearing on the Mike Francesa show. He canceled his weekly appearance on there. He says it was an organizational decision by the Giants, but he's been criticized weekly on that show. Mike Francesa is an iconic talk show host on the Fan, WFAN. And I will give our managers, our head coaches, credit here in the city of Philadelphia. As much as they get beat up on the talk radio shows, as much as they get grilled, and they do get grilled by our talk radio show hosts here in the city of Philadelphia, every manager and head coach has been as forthcoming as they can be, as accommodating as they can be, and have never canceled, to the best of my knowledge, have never canceled a show on any of our radio stations in Philadelphia and have stormed, they may have been upset afterwards. They may have had to vent after. They may have been upset with some of the questions, but at least they went out, they answered them, and they appeared the next week, win, lose, or draw, however badly they may have managed the game or coached the game or whatever. I give them tons of credit. They've never canceled a spot on any of our Philadelphia radio station. Pat Shermer got upset with Francesa, canceled his spot, blaming it on the organization. I don't know how good this looks for Shermer going forward. That's not a good look for him.
No. From that standpoint, yeah, no. I mean, but any of our coaches, they could, I mean, and I've listened to Gabe already through the show, the weekly spot that he has on IP there in Philadelphia, and look. At the end of the day, where is he? He's still the Phillies manager for as much as we don't want.
Yeah, I mean, I will give him credit.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think as well too. Where with our coaches, managers, assistant coaches, what have you. Okay, any of the coaching staffs in the professional sports scene in Philadelphia. They know that the fans are the expectations are very high with these fans, with our fans, and it's a family of fans too. I mean, I might add. I mean, for as much as we may boo, right and left, whatnot. I think at the end of the day, though, the coaches should know that these fans are 100% by them, but you know what? You need to put out a product that we're going to enjoy, and and I give that's where I give all the coaching staff to the coaching staffs, Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, Eagles, Union. And even the college scene, even in the college, the college ranks, from football to basketball, especially when it comes time for March. I mean, the expectations of Philadelphia are high. They really are.
With this team, absolutely. With all our teams, because you look at how much money and how much talent is coming into the city of Philadelphia. The expectations should be sky high. You look at the talent on the team, the money that's being spent. Absolutely, the expectations should be sky high.
I mean, and as far as Shermer goes, and no disrespect, he's respected in the world of football. With his uncle, late uncle, and that, but. But with what's been happening in New York, I mean, it's and especially with and I still call it, which any way you slice it, it's a fact. They're a storied franchise in the New York Football Giants. I mean, with what's been happening, and he knows he hears the fans loud and clear in MetLife. I mean, it's I really, honestly, and I know you were going to get to Eli as well, and maybe this might be the leadoff, but I will say
you got it.
Once they won that last Super Bowl, and I've kept saying it the last couple of days to close to a week now, the last couple of years, all right, which I believe it's 2 years in a row, back to back, if I'm not mistaken. From when they last won their last Super Bowl, both were losing seasons back to back. Really, honestly, in whether it would be your first losing season or your second in a row, hell, third in a row. You know what? You should have really done the organization a favor, as well as Eli, while he was in his prime, mind you. Okay, because I mean, given what he achieved, and I get it. Okay, because I've been argued about many a times with that part of the subject as well. But given what he has in his back pockets, okay, and what he will have once he does retire with the organization, which I believe he will, number retired, office, job, whatnot. Given the circumstances, he, in his prime, should have had a buyout of some type, and say, look, you know what? We know you're a Giant for life. There's no doubt. But right now, we need to move in a slightly different direction right now, Eli. And that's really what I would have done. You would have been doing him a favor, as well as you, the organization, a favor. Really. And obviously we see where they're at right now, Jay.
Oh yeah, the Giants had to make the move. No question about it. I don't know that being 0-2, this is a move designed to get the Giants into playoff contention, because looking at the Giants, they have some issues other than quarterback that they have to address, but at least this gives the Giants some more eyes on the team, making the quarterback switch. I think it draws eyes onto, maybe get some more energy in the building with the move. And, we'll see where the Giants go from here, but it's a move that had to be made. Eli knew it was coming this year. The only question was when, because even he, if in a quiet moment when he's by himself or with his family or whatever, nobody else around, even he had to look at the division and look at where the Eagles were and where the Cowboys are, and just say to himself, I don't have the horses to compete with either one of those two teams, even if I'm in there. It's going to be a struggle. Even if we put together the best game plan possible, I don't know that we have the talent to compete with the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Yeah, and this is where Eli needs to speak. This is, in my opinion, this is where Eli, as far as I'm concerned, needed to speak up to, and he probably did, for all I know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But a reasonable assessment, if you want to call it this, he should have spoke to Pat Shermer off to the sideline or in the locker room or in his office. Say, look, you know what? Yeah, I may have Evan Ingram right now and Barkley, but really, honestly, that's all who I have right now. As far as who my main go-to guys are. I mean, I need more weapons. Hey, what are you going to do for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
they got
we know, and I know I've had an argument as well with many a fan and many times over about him needing to adjust to a different scheme of an offensive program that could be to what hopefully would be to his liking, or eventually come into pass and say, look, yeah, I like this. I'm going to adjust to this. Let me give it a go.
Well, he's actually been
but we know at the end of the day he's a pocket passer. I get it, but end result, he should have went to Pat. Pat should have basically gone to Dave Gettleman and say, look, you know what, Dave? Eli came to me, and he's right. I need someone here, and given what Dave has done, and look, I get the strategy in what he did last year as far as trades go. You know what? Have a basket. Okay, yeah, get my draft picks, put them in the basket, save them for a rainy day. I get that. But you know what? You're basically in a situation where, yeah, you need to try to catch the Eagles, the Cowboys. You need to have some type of weaponry of some type, you know, on the okay caliber or not, to at least give Eli, given benefit, given in Eli's defense. You know, I mean, it's a shame. It's sad. It's to me, it's quite a few years too late. But you know what? What are you going to do? You know, and I'm and for Eli's sake, I hope he realizes that finally that what it might be over now. So I mean that that unfortunately is the bottom line.
Yeah, I mean Eli is even quoted as saying he's disappointed in the decision, but he saw this coming. He knew that when they brought in this young quarterback as his backup, he's like, you know what, I am old, I'm up there, this could happen, and it did. Did he like it? No. But he even quoted as saying, I'm still going to support the guy. I'm still going to support the team. I'm going to, accept the new role and stick out the season. So he's not giving up, and he's not dying on us, thank goodness. But, he saw it coming. He knew it.
Oh, yeah.
He just didn't know when.
And look, and he states about him being disappointed. Well, you know what, Eli?
Oh, well.
That's the nature of the game. I mean,
happens
you gotta,
to everybody.
Face facts sooner or later. I mean, yeah, I get a little what his feelings in his head are. But I mean, look, this is where I say again, if any of those people and those pros in that organization were to turn back the clock and say, look, you know what, this is what we're going to do, I would give it, if I were a betting man, they probably would do it. Meaning, in his prime,
Yep.
First losing season, second losing season, or third losing season, right after that last Super Bowl that they won, I would have parted ways with them, like right then and there. Say, look, you know what? We don't want it. Last thing we want to do is to have we want mutual good feelings. We don't want to leave you on part with you on bad terms. We need to go in this direction, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that would have been really. Would the Giants be in this situation that they're in now? Had they made that particular move? Who knows? Maybe. But I think, in my opinion, that probably would have been the best thing to do for him.
Yeah, I mean,
and both parties would have been probably not ecstatic about it, but they probably would have been okay with it too.
I mean,
had they done what I mentioned.
Yeah, but this is the thing with the Giants. They have trouble when they get an icon. When the Giants get these iconic figures, especially an iconic figure like Eli, they have trouble moving on. Every organization moves on. You look at the Phillies. They moved on from Utley, Ryan, and Howard. You look at the Eagles. They've moved on from Ron Jaworski and Randall Cunningham and, all their iconic quarterbacks,
in other words, a fairly easy transition.
Andy Reid even traded Donovan McNabb within his division to the Washington Redskins. When a quarterback is past his prime and his shot, the San Francisco 49ers moved on from Joe Montana, Hall of Fame quarterback. When a player reaches a certain age or get to a point where his production doesn't match what you're asking out of him, then you move on. And athletes know this is part of what they sign up for. And the Giants, for whatever reason, loving Eli as much as they do, would not move on from Eli 2 years ago, and here's the other thing I wanted to bring up. 2 years ago, the Giants had a head coach, Ben McAdoo, right?
Yep.
What did he do at the end of the season? He had the absolute gall to bench Eli Manning for a game and start somebody else because he looked at the production of Eli Manning and he said, Eli cannot help my offense. I need another younger, more mobile quarterback. I want to try something else. And, this is in 2017, and he benched Eli Manning. And then here we are 2 years later. I just want to say Ben McAdoo is looking brighter because he had the cojones to go and bench Eli Manning 2 years ago when he looked at it and he said, Eli Manning's done. I need another quarterback in there. And because of the outrage and the public pressure by the owners and the fan base of the love that they had from Eli Manning, they didn't look at it as McAdoo was looking at it. They had these giant red, white, and gray blue
you mean dollar
color,
signs?
Not even dollar signs. These red, white, and gray sunglasses on. And that's what they were looking through as their prism. They couldn't believe that. Oh my gosh, Eli Manning's a shot fighter 2 years ago. I mean, if they'd I'm not saying Ben McAdoo was the greatest head coach in the world, but I think right now, with what Pat Shurmur did and what he convinced the organization to do, Ben McAdoo was proven correct, and maybe some of the stench is wearing off of Ben McAdoo.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's fired
no doubt,
off
no
the
doubt.
team.
I will say it's a wonder. It's a wonder Eli has not been injured in all these in these few recent years, though. I will say.
And that's not to say Jones could be injured.
That's where I say. That's where I say. You know what? Like with is it Mike Shula, who's the Don's son, who's the or David or whoever that's the offensive coordinator for Shurmur here in New York. I mean, look, I was expecting Shula to come out with a brand new type of plan, type of offense that Eli would basically have no choice but to adjust to. There's certain instances where you could be a pocket pass, certain instances where you can be mobile. And I'll tell you, Eli's one tall guy, guys. He is one tall guy. I mean, I know I've passed him in that stadium once. I will say he is a tall guy. He's got in my opinion, I still think he's got the legs. Given the age, I get it. But if he were to run, I would think he'd have some hell of a stride in between, in between paces. Because I mean, and like I said, it is a shame in a way that he's not that type of a mobile type of quarterback. But at the same time, it's a wonder he hadn't gotten hurt, like majorly hurt.
I give him credit. I mean, that's one of the things people are going to look at and remember about Eli is his durability. But want to move over to the Eagles. Eagles got a big game Sunday afternoon. They are hosting the Detroit Lions, and it looks as though, Ken, we've got some not so great news about the Eagles. Looks like Alshon Jeffrey with his calf and Dallas Goedert with his calf are going to be listed as questionable, and they're going to be a game day decision Sunday afternoon as to whether or not they are in the game. Doug Peterson said today he's optimistic, but again, he's unsure as to whether or not they will be able to go on game day and will play in the game. But we do know that wide receiver Deshaun Jackson is OUT out for the game, so that's going to put some pressure on some of the other guys, Jay Jaw and Matt Collins, to go out there and produce and show us exactly what they've got in the tank, and they're getting the opportunity. They've practiced all week with the Eagles. They should know the game plan. They should know the game. They should know the playbook. So, what are your thoughts heading into Detroit at Philadelphia on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, Mac looked pretty good, I will say, the other night. Given what they had, but and I know that Peterson and Groh and company they're going to expect him to step up a little bit more. I believe this Sunday as well. And as far as now, what's the timetable? I missed that. What's the timetable on Jeffrey again?
Alshon Jeffrey is listed as questionable with his calf. He's going to be a game day decision, as is Dallas Goedert.
Because I could be wrong on this, but I thought I read that it seems as if it's lean for in terms as far as Jeffrey goes. It seems like it's leaning towards what could very well be him being in the game on Sunday, but right now it's questionable. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to see, the likes of Matt Collins, stepping in, I think, a little bit more, doing, seeing what, like you say, seeing what he's got in the tank, a little, as far as production and that. And, look, Zach Ertz is going to build on that loss too. I mean, and then I know we're going to see a lot more of him too. So, I think, I know he's gotten over, I'm sure he's gotten over the loss and, last Sunday night's loss. And, I mean, he had in my opinion, I thought he had a decent game. I mean, everybody criticizing him for not making that other half yard, but I mean, look, you know what? And again, I say give the credit to Atlanta and their defensive squad that they had out there overall. Although I believe there was at least 3 instances where there should have been calls that should have been on Atlanta that would have given Philadelphia a little more yardage in each of those 3 instances. But, would they have possibly won that game? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not. But we're moved on. We're back at home, back against at least a mediocre team in the Lions. So I mean, I know we the last time we met them at the Link, it was snowy.
Yep.
It was snowy, and we won that game. Like we had a nice substantial lead, and we managed to hold and win that game. So I'm expecting nothing less than for them to come out, to come out swinging, and to come back and win this week. So
and that's going to be
each game as the games go along. You know what? I think, as long as they can focus, which I know Peterson can get them to focus, get them on the same page, okay, which obviously we know Peterson can do as well, then there's no reason why we can't go out there and win that game against them. So, I mean, and look, as long as they play hard offensively, and I'm excited, and I know Schwartz isn't that that of the blitzing kind, but there are instances too, and especially in Sunday night's game, which I was like, why didn't he not throw the blitz on? I think he might have done it maybe a total of 3 times, if that, which is a rarity for Schwartz. But I mean, like, I'm expecting him to change his game a little bit too, because we have, in my opinion, we have one of the most talented defensive lines, I think, right now on paper. I mean, I just don't understand some of the play calling, that Schwartz manages to send out there.
I gotta disagree with you there, Ken. Not with the injuries the Eagles have at defensive tackle, and from what I saw with the secondary not being able to wrap up receivers and allowing yards after the catch and their bad tackling, I think the talent may be inside of some of these guys, but I can only go by the talent on the roster. And right now the Eagles are immensely banged up along the D-line. Especially at defensive tackle. We thought that was going to be a strength. Now the depth is being tested. And their corners are not looking really good right now, allowing some big plays and not being able to tackle guys and wrap them up and allowing yards after the catch. And, that to me is an issue. And I hope Schwartz can address it.
Yeah, and I really, and mind you, and I'm surprised too because training camp I thought we came out swinging as far as corners went. I mean, everybody seemed to look really, good to excellent. I thought. It's, and again, it's early, it's still in the early going stages, but I mean, you got to fix it in a hurry though, too, at the same time.
Yep. And I think the key to the game will be the first quarter, if not the first half, because once again, and we've been chiming on this since last season, we're harping on it, and we will continue to harp on it until Doug Peterson gets it fixed. The Eagles have to get on the board and go into halftime with a lead. I think that's going to be the key to the game because you can't continue, and they've been doing this and doing this and doing this, and it bit them in the butt last week, and it could very well bite them in the butt again this week. You have to get off to a good start. You have to score points in the first quarter. You have to take pressure off of the defense and start playing with a lead. If not, you will lose games, and it came back and it haunted them last week against the Atlanta Falcons. And it could very well haunt them again this week. Detroit is an up-and-coming team. Maybe they don't have the best head coach in the world or what have you. Maybe some people take them lightly, but they do have talent on the team. And if you get off to a bad start and you allow Detroit to get a lead, hey, they could come out and, take care of the Philadelphia Eagles and win the game.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, you got, you don't want a 7-point lead going into, at the end of the first quarter or the first half. You want it more to be in the realm of 14, at least 14, 14 points to, or 17 points, but, in order to at least, have a substantial type of lead. You go into you go in at 7 or 10, up by 7 or 10. I mean, it's a lead, but it's not a big lead. So I mean, this team is much more talented than just a 7-point lead or a 10-point lead. So I mean, I don't care. Switch up your MO. You got to run the ball more. I mean, I know the Eagles are going to be hampered by some guys being out. We've got Corey Clement is going to be out, so that's going to hamper the running game. So you're going to go into the game probably with Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, and Darren Sproles as your running back. But that's 3 good running backs. Offensive line should be able to open up some holes for them and get them going. So maybe you rely on your running game a little bit more. You're going to have Nelson Aguilar, Matt Collins, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside as your wideouts. Again,
these guys, you're going to be given a chance. It's time for you to step up. Offensive line, we need you guys to stop getting Carson Wentz freaking killed, because you look at the game last week, and amazingly, Carson Wentz is still upright after the bad game the offensive line had last week against the Falcons. I mean, kudos.
I was on pins and needles with that. Yeah.
Kudos to Carson for being able to survive that. But the offensive line has to do better. These guys are going to be given a chance. J-Jaw is going to be given a chance. Matt Collins is going to be given a chance. Nelson Aguilar is going to have a bigger role. So it's up to these guys. Like Clintack was saying, went into the season with the Phillies pitching staff. I'm giving you guys an opportunity. It's up for you guys to seize it and show us exactly what you got. And this is their chance to put out good game film and show the Eagles what they got. And if they can come through, maybe they get more snaps. Maybe they get a little bit more playing time. Who knows going forward? But again, I think it's key. The Eagles have to get some momentum in the first quarter, and especially go into halftime with momentum, and hopefully with the lead at halftime. Care to pick some games, Ken, before we let you go?
Let's do it.
All righty, let's see what we got here. Okay, so we know that Jacksonville won last night over Tennessee. So I'm going to throw out some games for you. I'm not going to throw out the Minnesota at Dallas game. That game is a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, Minnesota, obviously.
I mean Miami there. Miami at Dallas, I'm not going to throw out at you.
Yeah, I was going to say, how can Minnesota be playing if they're not playing them?
But I will ask you this one. This is going to be a highlight game, I think. Baltimore at Kansas City. Two young quarterbacks going head-to-head with each other.
Who wants it more?
Exactly. And this could determine playoff seeding, too. Only week 3, but the way both teams are playing, the Ravens and the Chiefs, this could determine playoff seeding.
And you want to know something? You never know. And look, and I believe in that adage. You never know, because, look, and I know people are going to laugh at me and say, "Yeah, stop it." You know, it's Patriots. You know, it's going to end up in the AFC championship game. But you never know. But look, you know, for as talented as Lamar is, and he's got, you know, Hollywood in there and that. I know that, like, I got to go with Andy. And that young stud that he's got too. You know, with Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes is hot, boy. I'm going with the Chiefs. There's no doubt.
Okay, so I want to hear your pick for this one. Detroit at Philadelphia. Can Detroit get the upset, Ken?
Well, I mean, look, you know, when we discussed it, so I mean, it's the Eagles' advantage. It's to the Eagles' advantage, I should say, and especially at home to secure this victory over the Lions. So, you know, and there should be no, like we talked about, no excuses for a 7-point, you know, for just a 7-point lead. 7-point lead or a 10-point lead. I think they're going to win this by at least 2 touchdowns. They have to. We're better than that. We're better than what we put out there in the previous 2 first halves.
I agree.
There's no question.
I agree with you, Ken. I'm going to ask you this one because I think eyeballs are going to be on this one, of course.
Okay.
New York Giants going down to Florida and playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, coached by Bruce Arians. How is he going to treat the new young quarterback, Daniel Jones?
Well, I mean, like, you know, it's good. That's going to be an interesting eye looker. But you know, like, for the fans, for the New York fans, I will say, and I know I've said this for, you know, a couple different times already in this week. That look, you know what? Yeah, you got Daniel Jones. That's at the helm now. Okay, you gave him the keys. He's got to go. You know, look, don't expect Daniel Jones to rack up 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's just not happening. At least not yet for him.
I don't know. He's thirsty.
I would say more. Yeah. Look, you're playing a Tampa Bay team that hasn't been really relevant, so to speak, overall in the last couple of years. Okay, but if I were a Giant, if I were a Giant fan, I would be expecting to see a halfway decent performance by Jones. By Daniel Jones, DJ, whatever the fans are going to call this kid. I don't care, but to see like a 24 for 32 day, maybe at 270, 280, maybe like 2 touchdowns and three, maybe 3 for that matter. Giving this kid some credit a little bit, I'll give him 3. And maybe a pick, maybe a possible pick or 2. But otherwise, I don't know I forget what I did on Balto, but I will say I believe I picked the Giants to win that one. So.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Houston at LA Chargers. Both teams Chargers are looking to kind of stay relevant within the wild card race. Of course, nobody's really out of it now, but they certainly don't want to drop to 1-2, being in the division with Andy Reid, who right now is 2-0. You've got the Houston Texans wanting to stay relevant within their division, maybe assert themselves with a 2-1 record. Put some distance between themselves and maybe the Colts and the Jaguars.
I think I picked the Chargers. Only for the fact that you have Rivers at the helm.
Yeah.
And Deshaun Watson, he's a good kid. He's talented in that. And I know they're like the Lions as well. They're an up-and-coming team too. The Texans are in the AFC. So, that Rivers though, I believe I picked them over the Texans.
Gotcha. And here's going to be a really good one as well. The New Orleans Saints are traveling to Washington. New Orleans is currently 1-1 to take on the undefeated Seattle Seahawks, who are right now looking to keep pace in the division with the 49ers and Rams, who are also 2-0.
Yeah, I for as good as Kamara is in that, I picked the Seahawks.
I could go with that. I mean, it's going to be a tough game. I know Drew Brees is out, so New Orleans is going with their backup quarterback situation. Anxious to see how that is going to go. That could be an interesting game plan Sean Payton comes up with his kind of, I would say, 2 backup quarterbacks, because I expect to see both of them getting some playing time.
And mind you, so far I said as far as the Saints go, and when I mentioned about with what happened last year, this being part of it, I said for as good as Breeze can be, I hope he doesn't get hurt, but something is telling me, and sure enough, I'm telling you, it did that situation last year. It's gonna haunt them. It's gonna haunt them. And so far,
I think here's the thing. I think Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill are good backup quarterbacks. Taysom Hill is like a jack of all trades. They use him all over the place as a running back, wide receiver, quarterback, wildcat quarterback. And I think people have kind of forgotten about Teddy Bridgewater because he's been a backup quarterback for the past few years. But before that, he was considered to be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL when he was on the Minnesota Vikings. And if not for a freak leg injury, which was extremely gruesome and he's battled back from, if not for that, he would have been the Vikings franchise quarterback. But, it was just, you had to go with the Vikings made the playoffs, so they stayed with the hot hand. And, they had other quarterbacks on the roster, and you didn't know how well Bridgewater was going to do. So then he parted ways with the Vikings, and now he found his way to the New Orleans Saints and has been behind Drew Brees for a little bit. Actually re-upped his contract, I believe, with the New Orleans Saints before the season. I think Teddy Bridgewater may not be the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Certainly there's other quarterbacks that people would rank ahead of him, but people forget about exactly how good Bridgewater was going to be before he suffered that gruesome leg injury, and I think the Saints could be okay until Brees gets back. I'm not saying they're going to win on Sunday, but I think they could be okay.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you.
And one last one I'm going to throw at you before we let you go, Ken. The LA Rams are going to Ohio to take on the Cleveland Browns. LA is currently 2-0, and like I said, looking to keep pace with the Seahawks and 49ers. Cleveland is 1-1 and is looking to assert itself and show everybody how good they can be. Certainly, I've been underwhelmed right now with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I think Gurley. I'll tell you what. I think Gurley will be a factor. That you got to eventually put the defense. Part of the interior part of their Cleveland defense in their place. I think a little bit once for all. So I think Gurley I think will be a factor in that game. I really do. Therefore I'm going with the Rams.
Awesome. All right, Ken, I'm going to let you go. I know you have some crossing guard duties possibly coming up this afternoon, so I want you to go out there and keep all the kids safe and play with your 2 new toys that I saw that you posted on social media.
Master plans coming together.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. I had one who, mind you, after they were up, I still had one who, given any factor, I believe the sun might have been a factor, but you know what, though? He still managed, somehow he was close towards thinking that, he was going to get through, and I'm like, no.
Now you just have to get those flashlight wands and be like, no.
But he understood. He understood.
Yeah, Jeff was saying you need to get those flashlight wands,
Yeah, just really get them going,
That'll be the next thing you need, Ken.
Sure.
But
up my game even more, right?
Absolutely. So before we let you go, can you let everybody know once again how they can find you and interact with you on social media? Because we want everybody listening to do that.
Absolutely. Ken Moskowitz, parenthesis, Crossing Guard Ken on Facebook, and Skywarn Spotter Ken on both Twitter and Instagram.
All right, and I want you to have a good weekend, and hopefully next week when we are on the live stream, we are talking about 2 Eagle victories because, of course, they play the Green Bay Packers on Thursday night.
Oh yeah.
So
that'll be a game to watch.
Oh,
let's hope we count them. That's right. Let's hope 2 is that number.
Oh, and by the way, for people paying attention, and I'll bring this up again later in the show as well. But if anybody is watching the NFL Network or Fox Sports, what have you, this weekend, be paying attention to that promo for the Eagles and the Packers that the NFL Network and I believe Fox Sports is running, because our good friend Eagle Shirley is featured in that program representing us and representing Eagle Nation in that promo, going head-to-head with a Packers fan. So I want to mention that as well. So if you're watching the NFL Network, any of the pregame shows, or the pregame show maybe on next Thursday or what have you, you'll see Eagle Shirley and they're our good friend. So congratulations, Eagle Shirley, for doing that fine promo and representing us and Eagle Nation.
Congratulations, Shirley. We love you.
Absolutely. All right, Ken, have a great weekend, and hopefully, like I said, we're talking about 2 Eagle wins next Friday afternoon.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
All
righty. Have a great weekend, gentlemen.
Take care.
Okay, and of course, that was Ken Moskowitz. We talk to him every week here on the Sports Skillet live stream. Right now, what I think we want to do is take a quickie timeout, pay some bills. So what we will do is we will have a quick commercial break, and we will come back and talk some more NFL, because we got some hot topics that have been going on. So we want
very
to
hot.
Yes. So we want to address them coming up, but we do have some bills to pay, and we want to alert you on some good things that we have here on the Sports Skillet radio show. So we will be right back after this commercial break here on the Sports
Have you
Skillet
ever
live
fantasized
stream.
about playing against a football great? Do you think you have the skills to beat a Hall of Fame quarterback? Well, Sports Skillet is offering a unique opportunity for you. Go up against the legendary Joe Montana. Enter by joining our Pick'em League. Follow us on the Sports Skillet Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and we will send you the link to battle the former 49ers quarterback and receive $1,000 if you come out on top. Remember to tune into the Sports Skillet live stream every Friday afternoon and every Sunday on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. And check us out on sportsskilletradio.com. Download our app and take us on the go.
Remember the TV show Cheers, where everybody knows your name? Never been there. But every time I walk into Wildflowers restaurant on Pennington Circle, I feel at home and that I belong. Friday night, I headed over to Wildflowers, and even though it was packed, I easily found a seat at the bar and got cozy with 17 TVs. Baseball, golf, entertainment TV, you name it, including all NFL games. The bartender Dave suggested I order the Buffalo Wing Sampler, and you could tell he was a fervid fan. But reviews on Wildflowers Inn restaurant Facebook page demanded I tried the garbage truck pizza, and Kelly had just arrived and promised to help me dig in. Then it came. Garbage truck pizza does not live up to its name because it smells amazing and it tastes even better. Freshly sliced peppers and pepperoni, garlic, mushrooms, mozzarella, and meatballs, all baked on this incredibly crunchy and warm double crust to hold it all together perfectly. Heaven, especially with one of their 23 beers on tap. I'm a believer. Go to wildflowersinrestaurant.com for more info, or just come in. They are conveniently located on the Pennington Circle, right near I-95. I promise you, they will welcome you warmly, feed you well, and perhaps soon even know your name.
You're listening to the Sports Skillet Radio Show, cooking up all the hot takes. Jump in and join us at 609-919-9200. Download our app at sportsskilletradio.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching for Sports Skillet. And remember to show us some love. Like, follow, and share.
And we are back here on the Sports Skillet Radio, a live stream emanating from CSB studios in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. We do this every Friday afternoon, and we want to thank you for joining us. And as you heard, we've got some great things going on. We've got a challenge that was issued to us last week. We'll have more details with that coming up. So we wanted to take part in that. And, I'll do that now real quick. Basically what that is for the month of Rocktober is what we're calling it. What we want you to do is take 15 minutes out of your day, morning, afternoon, nighttime, before you go to bed. Just 15 minutes out of your day. Could be right before bed, could be evening, whatever. Just take 15 minutes out of your day and do something positive. Okay? It could be eating something good, it could be exercise, could be doing something nice for somebody else.
Could be waking up if it takes you 15 minutes to do it. I know
I
do.
I would say a little bit more than waking up. I'd say a little bit more than that going forward.
I keep hitting that snooze alarm. It's like it takes me about 15 minutes to get out of bed.
Well, depending on where you put your alarm clock, But just take 15 minutes out of your day. Do something positive to enrich your life or the lives of others, somebody else, and X off that day. Put a calendar where you can see it on your refrigerator, in your bedroom, wherever, that you're going to be running into that calendar every day, and just exit. Right? You did your 15 minutes, put it next to it. And you do that every day, and you keep looking at the calendar, and by the end of the month, you'll have every day X'd out. And you'll want to continue that into November. And then before you know it,
you're going to have X's all over that thing.
You're going to have X's all over the calendars. You're going to want to do something positive for 15 minutes every day because you won't want to break your streak, right?
Yeah. I thought of a good one, too.
Sure.
Students, whether you're elementary all the way up to college, let's say you have trouble studying or whatever, you just can't seem to find the time. Well, take 15 minutes, take a subject, break it up, do 15 minutes of that, and you'd be surprised how much you can get done in a week. And then it'd be like, okay, I can do this. I don't have to worry, because I know there's some people out there that have trouble studying or whatever, or just trying to crack open that book to figure stuff out. So that could be something for you.
Exactly. Learn a new language or, polish up something that maybe you're weak on, Maybe you've always wanted to do something but haven't found the time to get it done. Well, hey, break it down into 15-minute segments. Maybe you can do it all month. Just break it down into 15-minute segments, and then by the end of the month, wow, you've got it accomplished.
Exactly. Or take a week to figure out what you're going to do in those 15-minute segments, so you can break it down to 15-minute segments of figuring out 15-minute segments.
Well, see, that's why we're getting people involved now. So when the end of the month comes and October 1st hits, bam. Rocktober is underway, and you've got everything kind of figured out and ready to go. Also, as you heard in the advertisement there, Jeff Sweeper there, we want to encourage you to join our Balto League, which is our Pick'em League. Want to encourage you to join up. More people that join up, the more competition it is, the better it is. More fun we have in the league.
Absolutely.
If you join our league and you follow us or subscribe to subscribe to our Facebook, YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube station here so that you don't miss any of our live stream every Friday, and you join our Balto League. Playbalto.com will give you the link, and then you can also join the Joe Montana League and go head-to-head with the Hall of Fame quarterback Joe Montana and his Hall of Fame wide receiver Jerry Rice. And if you finish first in that league, you get to take home a cool $2,000 in your bank account. So got a lot going on here with the Sports Skillet radio show. Again, all you have to do is go to our social media sites, go to Twitter, go to Facebook, just do a search for Sports Skillet, and we'll pop up there. Link is there, so you can join our league. And again, just follow us or subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll send you the link to the Joe Montana League, and bam, you're playing against Joe Montana, picking games against him, and how fun will that be? So something for you to consider. But lots of hot topics here on the Sports Skillet radio show that we want to get to. And the one I want to lead off with is, of course, Antonio Brown.
Gee, what's he into this time?
Well, now he's into sending group texts.
Oh, boy.
You know, apparently he sent a group text, which included, one story has it including his lawyer on the group text. Why he included his lawyer, only his...
In case he says something bad, the lawyer can go, stop it.
You would think, but if the lawyer's not there sitting in the room with him, you know... but apparently he sent out a group text to one of his two accusers, the one who's not pressing charges against him. I think there was an issue possibly with it being out of date, you know, the statute of limitations.
Well, it's,
one of the two. The
prosecutors can't because it was too far out. So unfortunately, that one cannot go through.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a shame because it would be nice to have him proven either innocent or guilty. Because obviously, I'm not taking sides on whether or not he did or didn't. It's just his antics kind of say one thing and these people say another. But it's like, well, that's now off the table. Now we have this other one.
But here's the thing. So, okay, she can't press charges, but what can her lawyer do? What her lawyer can do is send a nice, well-written email or a letter to NFL headquarters, attention Roger Goodell, and let him know that her client is being harassed and intimidated by Antonio Brown. Yeah. So,
and whomever's in this group chat also.
You know, well, I don't think they intimidated her. It's just the originator. That's the one. And so what the NFL can do is look into it, find out if there's any merit to it, find out exactly the language that Antonio Brown used during this, why he would have felt the need to send this group text to begin with, do their due diligence on that. And what the NFL can do is put him on the commissioner's list, which will keep him out of playing any NFL games and keep him away from the Patriots practice facilities. So basically, he is sitting home. He may be getting paid, but he's sitting home alone by himself, can't go to the Patriots, not doing anything, can't have contact with the Patriots, can't go to their facilities, has to work out on his own, can't play in any games. So that's what the commissioner can do if he finds merit to the group text, finds out that his player was harassing this woman.
Do you think he intended to put her on the group text, or do you think that might have been a little faux pas on his? I'll put this guy on there. Now, what number is this? I don't know. I'll put her on there, whoever that is.
I think, here's the thing. You think when somebody's accusing you or has come out publicly accusing you or something, what you want to do is
keep your mouth shut.
Keep your mouth shut. Talk as little as possible. Let your legal team handle it. Lawyer, legal team, whoever you want, handle that, and just say as little and stay as far away from the situation as possible unless they contact you.
Yeah. And the worst part about this is I heard he also texted a picture of this person and her kids.
Exactly.
And I'm like, okay, now you're bringing a family and children involved in this. Oh, let's just pile it on. Why don't we?
And that's something you don't, again, if you're having a beef with somebody, that's fine. But you don't try to, include that person's family, especially innocent kids. This is an adult matter. You don't bring little kids into it. You don't send over instant messenger or send it via text a picture of the person's kids, a picture of the person's family, saying that they're broke and whatever. You don't bring the family. It's you and I are having this beef. You don't bring little kids into it. The little kids had nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
This is, and I was trying to say, okay, maybe he didn't do it. Maybe this first accuser was just looking for money or something like that. But you know what? Unfortunately, that happens to not be the case with Antonio Brown. He is egging this person on. He is making a bad situation even worse. And and look at the team he's on. The Patriots are one of the most. The Patriots are not one of the most. Patriots are the most buttoned up organizations ever in the NFL.
Exactly.
They don't like outside distractions to begin with. Mm-hmm. They knew when they signed Antonio Brown that they were playing with fire. They claim, I don't know this to be a fact, they claim not to know that this lawsuit was coming down the pike, that all this was going to transpire. I can't say for certain what Belichick knew and his staff knew or didn't know, Robert Kraft, what he knew or didn't know. Can't say that, yes or no.
That says that Antonio didn't take him aside going, hey, just letting you know, I'm not supposed to say this, but
there could be something.
I can't see him keeping his mouth shut, especially with these text accusations now. It's like the guy can't just shut up.
I know exactly what you mean. And, it makes for one of the most bizarre situations, and this has to be infuriating Bill Belichick because he does not he just likes to talk about the game at hand. He likes to talk about the game coming up, who's healthy, who's not, give out as little information as possible on that. And now he's going to be asked all about Antonio Brown. Where's the lawsuit? How does he personally respond to Antonio Brown? Has he heard anything about Antonio Brown being put on the commissioner's list? All these outside distracting questions that absolutely have to be infuriating him.
Oh, yeah. His patience is thin. He walked out of that press conference, 7 questions is like, I'm done.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Bill Belichick does not like to give out information, and he's not, but how much longer will Antonio? This is one of the things. Antonio Brown keeps making bad situations worse, so it's going to be interesting to see how much longer, and this was a question, how much longer Antonio Brown is going to be a member of the New England Patriots. Looks like, for at least when we're going live with this live stream, Antonio Brown is going to be playing on Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
Because he hasn't been placed on the commissioner's list. The Patriots haven't suspended him or anything. I think they're letting the NFL take the lead on any investigations with Antonio. So they're letting the NFL do their due diligence and maybe put Antonio on the commissioner's list. But until that time, and until the NFL gets done or finds enough credible evidence to put Antonio on the commissioner's list, Antonio is going to be playing. So at least I believe he'll have one more week to play. But gosh darn it, his lawyer has to pull him aside and has to read him the riot act and has to get his cell phone out of his hands and, has to tell Antonio, please do not do anything more on social media. Please do not send out any text. You're making a bad situation worse. You're going to be put on the commissioner's list. I mean, you're this close to losing your NFL career.
Yeah, it's
because if he goes on the commissioner's list, there's a very likely scenario that once he comes off it, the New England Patriots could outright release him. Could say, enough, that's it, I'm done. Because here's the thing. If he goes on the commissioner's list, he's not going to be around Belichick. He's not going to be around Brady. He's not going to have the stability of the Patriots and the fortress of the Patriot way to kind of protect him. He's going to literally be out on his own, no practicing, with nothing to do, and have his cell phone and his desktop there to go on social media. So who knows what would happen if that scenario and he's left to his own devices.
Yeah, he won't have a lifesaver to help him at all. He'll be floating out there, And the worst part, we all know the Patriots, like they find people on little things.
Yep.
This is something a little bigger than
This is
coming
huge.
in late or, not showing up for a practice or something. No, this is like you're not only is it you're also part of this team. So you represent the team. Now you're bringing this accusations onto the team. See, we've all been talking about how it's all Antonio. I'm like, no, he's now part of the Patriots. So guess what? It's the Patriots that are involved in this now.
And they all have. Tom Brady has to answer questions. Teammates, when they're given access, have to answer questions. Mm-hmm. And that is something the buttoned-up Bill Belichick, Tom Brady Patriots hate doing. They refuse to do it. But something this big, if Belichick was answering questions about a deflated football a few years ago, this trumps that in a major way. So, it's something where if Antonio goes on the commissioner's list, who knows what he's going to do in that scenario, and he could very well get released from the New England Patriots because they may not want to deal with it.
Exactly.
After that.
Maybe he'll end up on the Eagles next.
I don't know. No, I don't. Doug Peterson had a chance. He could have went out and signed him, and Doug Peterson went out of his way, I think, and to keep him away from the Eagles locker room, because Eagles have a fun locker room. They will talk to the media. They will talk to people. They're not quite as buttoned up as the Patriots are in talking to people and the media, but they go about it in the right way.
Yeah. I give them credit for that.
Exactly. But what we also do here every week on the Sports Skillet Radio Show is we have a segment that we like to call Twish. And what that is for people who are tuning in is we go back in history. We go back to the yesteryear, and my brother does a great job in this, so you want to keep it right here on the live stream. And he opens up the history books, and he lets us know what happened in the forthcoming week. So there'll be this week coming up in sports history. A lot of really cool events transpired in the history books. So you want to keep it here. And what we're going to do is open up the history books now, and we're going to go to This Week in Sports History with my brother Jeff.
History sponsored by Wildflowers Restaurant. I am Jeff Sellner. Let's dive right into the history books. On September 23rd in 1908, at the Polo Grounds in New York, the Cubs and Giants met with a pennant race in its closing stages. Fred Merkle, a Giants rookie 19-year-old first baseman, was called in as a late replacement for Fred Tenney. In the bottom of the ninth, the Giants and Cubs were tied at 1-1 with 2 men on base and 2 outs. Merkle was a runner on first. Al Bridwell singled to center field, scoring the runner from third. Fans stormed the field, believing the game was over. One problem: Merkle never touched second base. Second baseman Johnny Evers noticed the error and headed to beat Merkle back to the bag, which would void the run, scoring from third for the final out. But Evers did not have the ball, which was lost in the shuffle of people. Due to lack of crowd control, the umpires ruled the game a 1-1 tie to be replayed at the end of the season. The Cubs won the replay 4-2 to clinch the pennant. Chicago went on to win the 1908 World Series over Detroit 4-1. On September 24th in 1988, Canadian sprinter Ben Johnson broke his own 100-meter world record with a time of 9.79 seconds at the Seoul Olympics. Johnson would be disqualified 3 days later for use of an illegal drug. American Carl Lewis was awarded the gold and world record of 9.92 seconds. On September 25th in 1962 at Kaminsky Park in Chicago, Sonny Liston challenged Floyd Patterson for the heavyweight title and declared he would take it in 5 rounds. In the bout, Liston took control from the start, pounding away at Floyd's ribs and dropped the champion with a powerful left hook to the jaw. Patterson was counted out at 2 minutes 6 seconds, and it was the first time in history history, a world heavyweight champion had been knocked out in the first round. On September 26th in 1954, at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, the Philadelphia A's defeated the Yankees 8-6. So what was the big deal? This game marked the only time Yogi Berra played third base and Mickey Mantle played shortstop. The A's finished the 1954 season with 103 losses in last place, while the Yankees finished in second place with 103 wins. Cleveland won 111 games to win the division. On September 27th in 2008, before 38,673 fans at AT&T Park in San Francisco, Greg Maddux won his final start of the season and career, number 355, defeating the Giants 2-1. Maddux was an 8-time All-Star, 4-time NL Cy Young Award winner, 18-time Gold Glove Award winner, and was inducted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame in 2014 with that 355 wins, 227 losses, 3.16 career ERA, and 3,371 strikeouts. On September 28th in 1941, Boston Red Sox outfielder Ted Williams became the last player to bat 400 in a season, ending 1941 with a .406 batting average. Williams ended his Hall of Fame career with a .344 career average and 521 home runs. On September 29th in 1954, New York Giants center fielder Willie Mays made his famous over-the-shoulder catch of Vic Wertz's 460-foot drive during Game 1 of the World Series against Cleveland. In the top of the 8th inning, with the score tied 2-2, the Indians had runners on first and second. New York manager Leo DeRocha summoned left-handed pitcher Don Little to pitch to Vic Wertz, left-handed batter. With the count 2 balls and 2 strikes, Wertz hit a deep fly to center field. A homer in most parks, Mays was playing shallow and made a on-the-run, over-the-shoulder catch at the warning track for the out. The Giants won the game in the bottom of the 10th inning and will go on to sweep the Indians in the World Series. Thank you for listening to This Week in Sports History, sponsored by Wildflowers Restaurant. I am Jeff Selner.
And we are back here on the Sports Skillet live stream emanating from the CSB studios every Friday afternoon.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on our live stream. And Jeff, I think we have somebody with a comment.
Yeah, someone actually commented. Also, real quick before I get into the comment, feel free to ask us any question while we're on here. Just type it in and we'll answer it, maybe. But this comes from Busty Bride. Says, hi, guys. Hi, Busty.
Hi, Busty. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Well, now that I look at the picture, it's actually a girl. So,
okay.
Hi, Busty.
Okay.
Kind of figured, why would you call yourself Busty Bride if you're a guy?
Exactly.
It's these days now. All right. Are you guys Patriots fans, or do you talk about all teams? Mike?
We talk about every team. We comment on whatever you want to talk about. That's what we do. That's why we are Sports Skillet. We talk about baseball, football, hockey, basketball, NBA, whatever you want to talk about. That's what we talk about on Sports Skillet. That's why we are the Skillet, because we talk about anything and everything. As for being a Patriot fan, unfortunately, I have to say I am not a Patriot fan. I am a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's the team that I follow, but I'm honest about the Eagles. If the Eagles do bad, if the Eagles do good, I will give an honest assessment of the team. I break it down that way. I'm honest about the Phillies. They're my favorite baseball team, and
maybe after this season, I don't know.
Yeah, they're still going to be my favorite baseball team, but I've said since July, hey, the Phillies are not going to make the playoffs. They're going to struggle. They're going to finish behind the Mets. And sure enough, that's where I believe they will finish. And same thing with the Philadelphia Eagles. They played poorly in the first half last week against the Atlanta Falcons. I think that's what cost them the game. I think Isaac Sumalo played horribly at guard last week, and he possibly could have cost himself the game. cost himself and the Eagles the football game last Sunday. So there you go. I mean, Eagles need to get off to a better start this Sunday. That will help them out. But, yeah, we talk about any team you want to talk about. Just post on our social media sites, and we'll talk about them. If there's an issue that you want to see us address or talk about, that's why we are the Skillet. We talk about them all sports equally.
And sometimes even off topics, whatever's out there in the news or whatever.
Exactly.
We'll address it sometimes.
Absolutely. As far as the Patriots go, we talked about Antonio Brown. I'll say that yesterday it was kind of funny watching the football game as Tom Brady fired off a tweet about being upset about the Thursday night football refs and how they were throwing flags and should the penalties have been called or not called and how many of them they were. And I got to agree a little bit with Tom Brady there. I think the officials have to be judicious in when they throw a flag on a particular play, because some of the plays that they've been throwing flags on, there was one roughing the passer call in a game that was absolutely atrocious. It was thrown against the New York Jets, and it was a clean hit. It was, nothing was done wrong, and the Jets player got not only flagged for it, so he cost his team 15 yards, but then he got fined on top of it when it was an absolute clean hit. Penalty should not have been called. Apparently, the referees went into the locker room, or went into the not into the locker room, but told the team that, hey, we messed up on the call. We are sorry. Probably shouldn't have called it when they got a chance to review it. And, and that's the thing. The referees have to, and it's tough. It's very tough being a referee in any sport, because, you call a penalty against one team and reward another. You're going to get flack for it, or you don't call a penalty and you get flack for it. So it's very tough to be an official. But, sometimes you can't throw flags on plays that are clean. You just can't.
Exactly. And it's hard to be honest, too, especially in football. You want to throw that flag and make sure that what you call is what happened, like you're saying. Or like what we talked about last week with the one referee. He lost his job because he decided to do something personal. Why? What is going on here?
I don't know. We are having some interesting lighting type situations.
I know.
If you want to get up and turn the lights back on, Jeff, feel free.
You know what? Not really. I don't need that much exercise. But
okay.
Just real quick update. She says, awesome. She's trying to learn about baseball more, and she keeps watching the game. So the more she does,
Hey, any questions you have about baseball, feel free. I'll answer them for you best I can. If you have a question about a particular team, I can do my best to get it answered for you.
Yeah, either ask us on our live stream, or feel free to
give us a call at. Hold on, let me get the number here.
Yeah, you have it on your side, not mine.
856-330-4749. Again, that's 856-330-4749. If you want to call into the live stream, we'll be on a little while longer. And I'm happy to answer questions for you.
So,
Oh,
if they can't get us on the live stream, where else can they find us, Jay?
Well, they can also find us every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. on sportsskilletradio.com. Just click on Listen Live. Or if you're in the area, feel free to dial us up on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. That's an AM station, but we come in crystal clear either on our live stream, or even better yet, the third option, go to sportsskilletradio.com. There's a clickable link so you can download our app on there, and you can listen to our show on the go wherever you may be on Sunday mornings. So Sunday mornings, come on. 11 a.m., just click on the app, and you can listen to us live on Bluetooth or on your phone.
Or anywhere you want to be. You could be at the beach and still catch up with us.
Exactly. Beach in your house, because we have great guests on the 920 show as well. We get some national guests coming on the show. We had Cynthia Freeland a couple of weeks ago come on the show. She works for the NFL Network. We had Pat Ragazzo last week come on the show as well. He does work for the Giants Wire and also Metsmerized.com. So we got his New York perspective on that. And this week, we're going to have another New York personality come on the show. If I can get the computer working. Sometimes technology just doesn't work for me. You see the lights going on and off here in the studio. Sometimes technology just does not work for me. But I can tell you that on the live stream this week, we will have Lance Meadow on the show. He is hosting a show on Sirius XM, NFL Radio, and Mad Dog Sports Radio, and he does the New York Giants pre-half and post-game shows on WFAN. So awesome. He will be talking some Giants with us on Sunday, so you want to head on over to our 920 show and catch Lance Meadow on that Sunday morning at 11 a.m. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear his insight on Eli and Jones.
Exactly, and we'll be talking other
Jones, right. Yeah.
and we'll be talking some other stuff with him as well. So that'll be really cool. But any questions you have on baseball, if you're trying to learn it, no question is too small, too big. We
Unless
answer
it's water polo, then we have an issue.
Well, yes, water polo. I would agree.
I've never seen horses in the pool.
And even X Games. You can talk about X Games too.
Well, there's X Games, but you're talking about esports.
Or esports.
Yeah,
okay.
X Games is totally different. That's bikes and skateboards, and I'm glad that they're in the Olympics finally, and I can't wait to see esports in the Olympics. That'll be interesting.
Now, have they've been accepted to the Olympics, right? Esports or no?
Not esports, no.
See, but here's the thing. Because I kind of wanted to get into this with you last week as well. They are building this huge arena in Philadelphia dedicated entirely to the Philadelphia esports team that's been in existence now for a while. Not too many people realize that Philadelphia has an esports team, but they do. And they are building this state-of-the-art brand new arena down near the stadium complex in Philadelphia, and it's going to have seating for the people who obviously are playing the esports game. It's going to have restaurants. It's going to have stadium seating so people can go down and watch the people playing the games.
Exactly. Yeah. And for those that don't know what esports are, just to give a quick little recap, it's basically video game competitions. And what I mean by that is not like how it used to be back in the 80s where you have the console games next to each other and you play Pac-Man and see who wins.
Pong!
Oh, God. They probably had that too. But, I mean, this is take it to the next level and give crack to it. That's what it is. It's you're talking about hundreds of players playing together, trying to come out on top. I mean, we're talking prizes in the millions. Not just like the crummy little, you get $100 and a 20-inch television. No, we're talking millions of dollars are invested in this. They're projecting next year billions it's going to be in. It's intense. It's insane. And if you ever went to one of these competitions, you could feel the energy. I mean, the players are really cool. They're really good. When I mean good, I mean you ever watch them on YouTube or Twitch or anything like that, and these guys are like, how are they doing that? How are they taking a mouse and just it's mind-boggling.
And they dedicate, and kids are dedicating hours, days to this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is now like
not just kids either. Also, there's grown adults that are just as good. But let's face it, we start them out young.
Apparently. And, and it's like, Mom, Dad, I want to play video games. And moms and dads want to get kids outside, like days when I was young, used to ride bikes and play outside. And,
did you have the rule, get your butt home before those street lights come on? you ever have that?
Well, no, because I was more in the country.
So you had no light whatsoever.
So
come home before the bears come out.
We had like a couple of street lights here and there, because it was a development kind of behind us, and wasn't really built up the way it is now. So there was a lot of like trails and parkland and stuff like that.
So you're more like, when the moon's at its peak, make sure you're in that house.
Basically, it was like a parent would come out, stand on their porch by us, and yell for their kid.
I had that too. I had them both actually, street lights and Jeff, where are you? I'm like, I'm over here. I'm in the yard. Oh, okay, time to come in.
Or we knew like, okay, it's starting to get dark, so I have to go home for dinner or something like that. It's dusk, so I have to go home and. But that was, or we would tell our parents, "Hey, I'm going over to John's house or Ricky's house to play," and then we'd be over there, and then we go to the park and ride bikes on the trails and drink out of hoses. And
then video came out, and it's like, "What's all that?" Nah, let's stay inside and play Mario or something.
And that was the thing too. We had like adventure, we had Pong, we
adventure.
had Breakout, Joust, anything that would go. And here's the Atari 2600. That was the thing when I was young.
But now the industry has grown so much that you have these competitions now, and it's not just one major game. It's hundreds of games out there, different kinds, multiplayer games. The biggest one right now is Fortnite. I'm sure everyone's heard of that game. It's been in the news a lot lately, where people would actually pay coaches to have their kids learn the game better. It's mind-boggling. Like, these people spend so much money and time on it, and now they have like $100 million prize money for the Fortnite World Cup. I'm like, there's a World Cup now.
And how much was that prize again?
$100 million.
So parents out there, when your kid tells you, "Hey, I'm learning how to play Fortnite," and it goes down that rabbit hole,
and they say, "No, go study,"
and has empty bottles of Mountain Dew and
more like Monsters now.
And and who knows what else in their bedroom.
Pop Rocks, keep them awake.
Pop Rocks, there you go. Those were big when I was little too.
Oh my God.
And won't come out of their room. Hey, they may be building a career that can sustain them for the rest of their lives. Crazy is it to say, but imagine that.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll have more information about what's going on with that, and then we can really delve into some of the teams maybe later on. But yeah, there's a lot out there, not just our country, but different countries all over. It's a world thing. So I mean, Berlin itself has a major video game expo and everything. So it's all over. Oh my God.
It is. It absolutely is. It is crazy. Going back to football real quick.
Right.
Well, apparently this just came out today. Jaguars owner Shad Khan said he loves cornerback Jalen Ramsey and is willing to give him a big extension amid the continued Jalen Ramsey trade requests. So I agree with Shad Khan. If I had a talent like Jalen Ramsey on my team, one of, if not the best cornerbacks in the league, I want to keep that cornerback on my team. I want to build my defense around that cornerback, because you got to have two things. You got to be able to disrupt the opposing quarterback, and you want to keep that, and you want to be able to hold down your opponent's top wide receiver. And Jalen Ramsey can definitely do that when he's on the field. Now, yes, Jalen Ramsey does come with some baggage. He does say stuff, against coaches, against,
worse than Antonio?
Not maybe worse than Antonio, but he will speak his mind. So you've got to be wary about that, and get fined because of it. So, he can be a little bit of a malcontent. And as we always say, pouring money at giving somebody more money just means they're going to be more of what they already are. But he is, like I say, one of the most talented if not the most talented cornerback. The Jaguars are asking for at least 2 first-round picks as compensation for trading him. Whether they get that or not remains to be seen. It may be a first-round pick, maybe a second and a player. The Eagles have apparently dived in to the conversation and are keeping the lines of communication open between themselves and the Jaguars. But like I said, if I was Jalen Ramsey, I would want to stay on Jacksonville because they showed last night that their backup quarterback is pretty good, and they've got Nick Foles as their starter. But who knows? He may have gotten Nick Foles last night. May have gotten shut out of a job because their backup quarterback played well last night. So, and he's probably only now again it was against the Tennessee Titans. So. Take that into account as well as to how good you feel the Titans defense is, but he acquitted himself well. So against the Titans defense, he didn't shrink from the spotlight like some quarterbacks do. He got Jacksonville the win. So. Who knows if Foles is going to come back into the starter's role, because a lot of times what you see in the NFL is if a quarterback is doing well and is on a hot streak, the head coach is hesitant to take him out to go back to the other quarterback, as good as that other quarterback may be.
Yeah, we've seen that before, and then if they don't perform, they trade him to some other team.
Exactly. So...
I won't name names. Foles.
Yes.
Super Bowl.
Foles wasn't traded. That's a whole different scenario because they couldn't re-sign Foles. They had to let him walk. And we wish Foles well, but as I say, it could be an interesting scenario once Foles' clavicle heals up.
True.
And he's ready to return to action to see where the Jaguars are and how good the quarterback play has been in his absence.
Yeah, because Foles is not that old either, and he's not,
No, and Jacksonville paid him a ton of money to be their franchise quarterback.
Exactly. And, they could play off each other. You have 2 good quarterbacks. That means you could use them both. Use them in one game back and forth. You
never want to do that.
Well, you never know.
No, that you go with one quarterback.
Oh, come on, Jay.
No, you go because that
superstition.
No, you only ride one quarterback. One guy is the starter, and then one guy is the backup. So, 2 quarterbacks mean you have none. So you got to ride with one guy. So we'll see going forward how good the Jaguars are going to do. With their situation.
You know what I thought of right now, talking about
Gardner Minshew?
No, not that.
Oh.
Eli Manning. Now that he's not the starter anymore, and this might be his last season, who's to say he's not going to jump ship and go to the XFL?
See him
maybe doing that?
I don't see Eli doing that. I don't see Eli playing in the NFL because I think now, if you're asking me after this season goes, will Eli be tempted to go to another team and finish his career with another team? That might be an interesting discussion topic because I know the Giants want him to retire as a Giant, spend his whole career as a Giant. And just kind of walk away. But if Eli thinks, because the Giants aren't going to make him the starter anymore, his days of being the Giants franchise quarterback and being the starter are over and done with. Once they made this transition. But is there another team that may think that they're Super Bowl contenders and may think that Eli has that a little something left in the tank, that may think that with my offensive coordinator behind my offensive line with my running back, Eli will be a better quarterback, and I can squeeze that one magical season left out of him. You never know. I would say probably not, because I think Eli's shown everybody that he's kind of a shot fighter at this point, and at best, he's a backup. So
he'll be over on the Patriots next year then.
So that would be interesting, but I think I don't see him backing up Tom Brady at all. I think I just think he's going to call it quits after the season, and he's probably going to retire the Giants. But you never know. Some of these guys feel that I've got a little bit of juice left. If there's a desperate team. I don't know who that team would be, because if you're a bad team, you're going to draft a quarterback. If you're, a mediocre team, you might want to try grabbing a backup quarterback. You might like somebody on who's been backing up another team for a couple of seasons and maybe give them a shot. Who knows? You don't know where some of these teams are going to be finishing. Will the Pittsburgh Steelers go out and draft a quarterback? Will Roethlisberger be healthy enough to come back and play up to his previous level? And will they be able to draft one, or will they finish too low in the draft to be able to maneuver their way up to get a franchise quarterback? What about the Colts? Are they going to want a young quarterback to kind of groom? How good are they going to do this year? There's a couple of teams out there. Miami, how are they going to look with Josh Rosen? Will they want to move on from? And there's a guy, Josh Rosen. Oh my gosh, Josh Rosen playing on this team of Miami behind this offensive line with this lack of talent on the Miami Dolphins. I feel bad for Josh Rosen. He needs to go to a team where he can play behind a decent offensive line with a decent running back, with a coach that knows what he's doing, that can build a team, because he played behind a bad Cardinal team last year. They dumped him after one season. Bad coaching, bad team, goes to a worse team, a horrible team, a garbage team this year in the Miami Dolphins. I absolutely feel for the guy. There's a team, if he's ever a free agent, there's a guy I might want to take a shot on.
Definitely,
to bring him in.
And like I said, we talked about it before, XFL is coming, so there's more shots. So all these awesome players on these crappy teams, excuse me for using that phrase, but they could jump ship, and it's like, you know what, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to help them.
Yeah, if they can get out of their contracts,
which I think they can.
I mean, it's tough because when you're on your rookie contract, it's very tough to. I mean, you can go, and then the only way you can really get out of it is if you become a malcontent. You bitch and moan about the contract to the press, to the media.
Well, just send some obscene texts to people, and you'll be out of it in no time.
Yeah, but that's not the way you want to get out of your contract. It's very
helmet,
tough. Yeah, but that's not the way you want to go getting out of your contract.
Okay.
Then you don't want to go down that road to get out of your contract. You really don't.
Oh,
but there's a guy in Josh Rosen that. The other question we mentioned at the top of the show, has Pat Mahomes locked up the MVP award? I would say no, he has not. I think it's too early to even think about Pat Mahomes locking up the MVP award, because you don't know what's going to happen going forward. There's Lamar Jackson, who's having a very good season for the Ravens. He could be in contention for it. Somebody could come out of nowhere. All of a sudden, who knows? Maybe the Chiefs start slumping a little bit for whatever reason. And who knows? Maybe he gets hurt. I mean, that's always a possibility. That's what happened to Carson Wentz a few years ago. He was looking like he was going to have the MVP award locked down. Ends up getting hurt, tearing his ACL, out for the season. And all of a sudden, you got Tom Brady sneaking up and winning the MVP award that year. But again, I think it's too early to anoint Pat Mahomes as the league MVP. We got to see how this is going to break out and how this is going to come about. Cam Newton's status for the Arizona Cardinals game coming up this weekend. Tell you, doesn't look good for Cam Newton. He hasn't been playing well. Looks very beat up. Looks less than mediocre. I don't know that we ever see Superman anymore. I think Superman Cam has gone into the Fortress of Solitude. If anybody follows Superman, they know what that is. It's that icy fortress that Superman retreated to, where he didn't have his superpowers anymore.
Plus, it's just a place. It's his bachelor pad. It's where he goes to just get away from everything.
Exactly.
You know, Lois is on him for this or that. He didn't pick up milk or something. That's it. I'm going to my bachelor pad.
I'm going to the Fortress of Solitude. So that's where I think Superman Cam is and will remain. I think he's taken too many hits, and he's just not the same Cam anymore. And I think he has other outside interests, such as fashion. All you have to do is look at a Cam Newton press conference, and every time I can't believe what he was wearing. Somebody has to explain his outfit to me from his last press conference. You can find that on social media. He looked, I mean, I don't know what the heck he was wearing there, but I'm not a fashionista by any means. So
yeah, me neither. And I don't touch it because there's too many buttons that can be pressed.
Exactly.
Like, I can't believe he wore that pants with those scarves. Oh, God.
Exactly. And he was wearing a scarf, and he did two head things, and with his hair, and I don't know. But I think he has too many outside interests, and that's the thing. He's always been, for the past few seasons, very rocky, very up and down, and I don't think we ever see Superman Cam anymore. And I think you can see the frustration on his head coach, Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron, as they call him, walking out of his press conference after being grilled on the status of Cam Newton, getting frustrated. And I think because he could very well be fired at the end of the season, because where do you go if you don't have Superman Cam, and you know that Cam is not going to be available or is going to be limited to being just an average or below average quarterback going forward. Tough days in Carolina for the Panthers. I think they got to move on from Cam at the end of this season. Same thing we're looking at with Jameis Winston down in Tampa Bay. This may be his last shot at being a starting quarterback. So he, in turn, has to show up and show out each and every week, or else he could be released from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, famous Jameis. He could get released after this season. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers could easily move on from him. And Cowboys have surpassed, this came out, the Cowboys have surpassed the Eagles as favorites to win the division, according to Fox Bet. And the question is, has the Dallas Cowboys become the team to beat in the NFC East? It's tough. I think the Cowboys and the Eagles right now are neck and neck as far as the division goes. Maybe right now, if we're all being honest, Eagle fans, I know you're going to get on me for this, but if you look into the looking glass, and if you're being honest with yourselves, and you're going to kill me for saying it, but I'm honest about my teams, I would have to say that maybe by a hair, the Dallas Cowboys might be slightly better right now than the Philadelphia Eagles, because Dallas is healthier. They've got a little bit of momentum about them. Eagles are banged up. A lot of people this week are picking the line like they did last week with the Falcons. I'm seeing and hearing on talk radio, other stations, social media. A lot of people are picking the Lions to win this game Sunday afternoon. And let me tell you, this is a big game, a must-win for the Eagles, because they have to play the Packers on short rest Thursday. And the Packers are going to be a handful to deal with. especially on short rest with the Eagles, especially if the Eagles don't get some of these guys back, or these guys that they get back re-injure themselves, or more players get hurt on Sunday and they have a longer injury report going into the Packers game.
I'm still surprised there's only one person that hasn't gotten hurt yet, and I'm like, what?
You're right. Carson Wentz, but he did have a concussion and have to come out for a couple of plays. So he hasn't been out for the full game. He's just missed a couple of plays or what have you. But, I mean, the Eagles could be staring down the barrel of 1-3 in the division and giving the Cowboys. Now, again, the Cowboys' schedule so far hasn't been daunting. They've been playing some lesser teams, which has allowed the Cowboys to look better than maybe they actually are, whereas the Eagles have played tougher competition. So, again, you have to factor that in. But I will say right now with the Eagles' slow starts continuing into this season and Dallas playing with momentum and confidence and healthy, 1-3 versus, 3-0 possibly for the Cowboys.
Plus, they have their cheerleaders, so you have to take that in factor. Come on, Eagles, let's get the cheerleaders out there and distract them more. That's why we have them.
Distract them, distract the coaching staff, or whatever you got to do.
Get them off their game.
Something. But I'll tell you what, something. Right now, if we're being honest, by a hair, Dallas may be the best team in the division. But we will see what happens when Dallas starts playing better competition like the Eagles have. That's when the Eagles may gain some ground on the Cowboys. And the Eagles absolutely, positively, without question, have to come out, have to have a fast start to this game on Sunday. Put the Lions in your rear view mirror, step on them, and let's just make this an easy win where we're not really worried about it and where we can go into the game against Green Bay confident and get some of these players back healthy and showing what they can do.
Exactly.
That's my wish for the Eagles on Sunday. Of course, we have the whole Sam Darnold thing going on with the Jets. Trevor Siemian then went out with a broken ankle. Now they're in the hands of Luke Falk, who at the start of the season was on the Jets practice squad. It's amazing how quickly you can go from, okay, I'm happy being on the Jets practice squad. You're not being thought about literally at all.
Being paid. So it's like, hey.
You're just on the practice squad there, working out, trying to learn the playbook, and you're on the Jets practice squad. Now all of a sudden, hey, you're the Jets starting quarterback, and you're being asked to carry the Jets into for one more week.
You're standing there like this, like, me?
Yeah. I was just on the practice squad.
I was happy where I was.
Exactly. Just learning the playbook, getting familiar with the team and their personalities and everything. Oh, no, now you're front and center. You better know the playbook. You better know the plays. And here's a good test for the head coach, Adam Gase. I know that Adam Gase is referred to as the quarterback whisperer, known for his innovative offenses. That's why he was hired. Mm-hmm. So now I know that Luke Falk is not the most talented of quarterbacks, but this is a challenge for the quarterback whisperer and his innovative offense to work with. You've had a week. Bring him up to speed. Do whatever you can. Get him competent. He doesn't have to be a Pro Bowler. Just be competent. You saw what the Jaguars backup did last night. Well, let's get Luke Falk to just be competent for a game and then go from there. I'm not expecting a whole lot. Jets are like 22-point underdogs, which is like unheard of. Them and the Miami Dolphins. huge 20-some-odd point underdogs this week, which is unheard of in the NFL. It tells you how much Vegas thinks of these two teams going into battle. Of course, the Jets are playing the New England Patriots, so that explains some of what is causing the Jets line this week.
And I mean, you brought in, you got Luke because you saw something in him, and that's why you put him on the practice squad. So there's definitely something there. So we'll be able to see what that is, and hopefully they don't break him.
Hopefully. But, going up against a Belichick defense, he's going to try toying with him and showing him different things and giving him a rude welcome to the NFL. So the good news about it, if you're a Jets fan, is, okay, I know you have a daunting schedule coming up, and, it doesn't get any easier. But here's the thing. After this game, I believe the Jets have their bye week coming up. So after that, you get your starting quarterback back off the injury. You get him back, hopefully healthy and raring and ready to go. And then maybe you get another player or two back. Yes, you will be playing the Eagles, so it will be a daunting task. First game back, you're playing the Eagles. Eagles are no doubt going to be hungry and looking for a win, but hey, at least you're going to have your starting quarterback back and healthy. So maybe that's something to look forward to after the bye week. Just, maybe do your best to keep the score low, and hopefully, Falk looks somewhat competent. And like Jeff said, something Adam Gase saw in this guy had him go out and had him put him on the practice squad and select him. So we'll see what that is on Sunday, but maybe the Jets can make a game of it. I don't think so. I think the Patriots are going to roll them.
Miracles can happen.
Miracles can happen. I mean, that's why you have upsets in the world of sports.
Yeah, that's why we got rid of Eli, and now we have,
Yeah, Eli's a shot fighter, so get rid of him, move on to Daniel Jones, and get a spark for the team a little bit, and let's see how good Daniel Jones is. He looked good in the preseason, but again, that is the preseason. And here we go. Normally, we talk a little pro wrestling to kind of close out the show. I will say this week's shows were interesting. What I will, if you want to talk a little Raw and SmackDown, I'm willing to do that with you as well. I think the big thing this week that people are focusing in on is the fact that NXT for the first time went live on Wednesday on the USA Network for the first hour. Second hour, people had to switch over to the WWE Network, and I believe they're going to do the same for this week coming up before they go live for the full 2 hours, the beginning of October, to go head-to-head with AEW. So the good news is for the WWE is that you were able to kind of restart things a little bit with NXT, kind of bringing it over to the national audience on USA. If people weren't familiar with some of the characters on there, some of the wrestlers, they had the ability to kind of introduce them a little bit and do a little bit more background on them with the announcing and who they were feuding with and so forth. And they'll be able to do the same this coming week, doing the two. And that gives them a little bit more of a head start than AEW, who's going to be coming in Raw and is going to have to do a little bit more of the background build-up when they go live on TNT the beginning of October. So, WWE has that little bit of a head start. But I thought it was a very NXT. I've always said between the three shows, SmackDown, Raw, and NXT, I've always said NXT puts on the best show, has the best matches, even though it's been the shorter show. But 2 hours is, I think, going to be good for NXT. They can continue the character build up. It'll be their own brand. So now you'll be having the 3 separate brands. They are going to go live with a draft coming up as well. And apparently this draft, unlike previous drafts, who's ever on a particular program, that's where they're going to stay. There's not going to be a wild card. There's not going to be any crossovers except possibly, I will say, the pay-per-views. That may be the only time you're going to see crossover talent where they're able to interact with wrestlers on the other shows. But outside of that, SmackDown's going to be its own brand. Raw and NXT are going to be their own brands as well.
Everything's self-contained.
Yes.
So if you miss one, you don't have to worry because it's not going to mess up this show.
Yep.
Or so forth and so on.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about, oh, well, I missed Raw, so I know Seth Rollins is going to be appearing on... No. Going to be appearing on SmackDown. Nope, that's not the case. They're going to be staying on their own shows going forward, which is going to be interesting because you do have behind-the-scenes relationships as well. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be like, for example, I'll throw out the main couple is Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. Mm-hmm. Becky Lynch right now is the Raw Women's Champion, and of course Seth Rollins is the Raw Men's Champion. So they are both on Raw, but who knows? Maybe Becky Lynch drops the title within the next week or two, or if not that, gets drafted and goes over to SmackDown, and maybe then I'm not going to say that they're going to break up over it because that's not what you do, but it makes it a little bit tougher on the relationship if I'm over here touring here and you're over there touring there. Different city, different state, maybe something like that. Yeah. Makes it a little bit tougher to maintain that relationship. You have to work harder on it.
Yeah, but then again, they should be used to that. They are superstars, technically.
They are, but when you're on the same show, makes it a lot easier because you can travel together. Stay in the same hotel. Stay in the same hotel room. You're not, doing a show at a different time in a different town.
I don't know. I wonder if our listeners out there can actually answer this. Would you ever work with your significant other every day, every time, almost every day?
That would be. That's an interesting question. How much can you put out with your significant other?
Yeah, if you guys have a good, solid relationship, great. That's awesome. But let us know. That would be
sometimes you just want that little break. Okay, I'm working here. My significant other is working there. You get to come home at night, tell each other different stories about how your day was.
Yeah. It's a little different. If you get in an argument, you say, "Don't make me drop kick you." They literally mean it.
Yes, exactly.
Not figuratively.
Don't make me put you in that disarmor.
Yeah, don't put me in the sleeper hold. I'm warning you.
Exactly.
It's like, are you threatening me? Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
But
so that's going to be interesting going forward. SmackDown is apparently going to move to Friday nights, so that'll be interesting as well. And they're also, I saw this, going to have a new show on FS1, Fox Sports 1, that will be a kind of wrestling talk show on there. So stay tuned for that on Fox Sports 1. That should be coming up when the WWE goes live on Fox Sports. And we also learned today, or not today, but this week, what the main event of SmackDown is going to be when they go live on Fox Sports. And that will be Kofi Kingston defending his SmackDown World Championship against the Beast, Brock Lesnar.
Oh man, that's gonna be fun.
Yes, that will be interesting because the WWE fan base does not want to see Brock with a heavyweight championship because we all know that Brock comes and goes on his timeline, and the WWE has bent over backwards allowing him to do that. They haven't signed him to a contract where, okay, you're coming in on our time, or that's it, we're not signing you. No, the WWE has allowed him to come and go and take their world championship with him. So the WWE, a lot of WWE probably likes Brock Lesnar as a wrestler and, likes his kind of character, but cannot, and I'm with him on this, gets extremely angry when they see him with the world title because they know it's disappearing for weeks, if not months at a time. Oh, wow. And then you don't have your world championship on on your flagship show. We've seen it on Raw when he's walked away with the world title and he's been gone for months and they reference him or they do different things. But here's the thing. Being that this is the kickoff show for SmackDown, unless they have Brock coming in the following week and dropping the title, I can't see them or Fox. No, I know Fox likes Brock Lesnar, which is probably why the WWE is bringing him in on the kickoff show. I got to believe that Kofi Kingston is going to figure out a way to win this match, whether it's by outside interference and somebody unexpected is going to show up during that match and cost Brock Lesnar the world title. Maybe Brock has Kofi beat down and Kofi's down and out and ready to be pinned and Brock is toying with him and taking him to Suplex City.
And then somebody else comes in.
And somebody else shows up and attacks Brock Lesnar and costs him the world championship. And then he and whoever that wrestler is, he and Brock Lesnar start feuding.
That would be interesting.
That could be a way where, okay, it's a disqualification. Kofi keeps the title. Brock looked amazing, looked strong, looked like the beast incarnate. And now he has somebody to feud with, and it's not for the title. And that may be the way they go about this. I would not be surprised because the way they built Brock up, I know he's lost to Seth Rollins, and they built him up as kind of the guy who beats big guys, but has significant problems with these younger, speedy, guys who can fly around the ring and do all these aerial maneuvers and are really tough. And I think a victory over Brock, however it is, could build up Kofi as being that much stronger. Having gone through Randy Orton this past pay-per-view, maybe you have Kofi pin Brock, or like I said, maybe you have somebody come in and interfere in the match, cost Brock the title, and now Brock has a ready-made feud with whomever it is, costing Brock the world title. I also like what they're doing. Just going over to Raw real quick. Harper and Rowan, I love what they are doing with those two characters. Taking out Daniel Bryan, taking out Roman Reigns, giving Eric Rowan a decisive victory. I mean, even though Harper interfered, but giving Rowan a victory over Roman Reigns, having him pin Reigns clean in the ring, I thought was, I know there was interference, I understand that, but just having him pin Reigns in the ring, awesome job. They've been making Harper and Rowan, and having Luke Harper come back unexpectedly was absolutely fantastic. And having those two guys beat up on Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, taking them both out, just destroying both of them, putting them through tables, through the ring posts and everything, making those two guys look like monsters and beasts, and not putting them in these costumes like they did previously with the Blood Brothers, just having them come out in regular street clothes and T-shirts and jeans. And that's the way these guys should have been built up from the beginning, just like the monsters that they are. And that's going to add a lot to the tag team scene, because now you're bringing Daniel Bryan over to at least be a tweener, if not a fan favorite again. as he'll no doubt be teaming up with Roman Reigns. I know there's going to be some discord between it. Some, they're going to be tentative with each other. At the beginning, I know there's going to be a feeling out process between those two, but getting Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan against those two guys, I think is really good. I know that Bryan and Reigns are ultimately going to wind up winning this, but I love having Harper and Rowan just be monsters and having them build up the tag team scene once again. They've got some good tag teams. I want the WWE to keep going, keep building up the tag team, because they left it dormant for a while. And I like them building up the tag teams because I think they've got some pretty good ones now.
Cool.
I really do. But right now, I think it is about 10-3. We've been on this live stream for a while, Jeff.
That is true.
So
well, before we go, I'm going to take control here real quick, Jay.
Sure.
Now, how long have I been on the show so far?
Oh, I would say at least a month and a half, 2 months.
About 2 months, yep. So I actually was out yesterday, and I saw something. I said, you know what? Because you've allowed me to come on this show, and you've allowed me to, bring my humor to it and everything and just have a good time and learn and grow. I got you a little something here, Jay.
Oh, a present here to end the Sports Skillet live stream.
Yes, a little something for you.
Okay.
It's not the bag, by the way.
Now, the bag I highly condone. I give you 2 thumbs up on the bag because if people can see it, it is a Wawa bag.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should have one of these in their possession. I love going to Wawa, by the way.
Especially since they're getting rid of their plastic bags. They're going to be done soon, and these are 99 cents. Not to promote them too much, but they are they're going environmental.
Oh, so no more plastic bags at Wawa. It's either buy a 99. See, here's some information for everybody that follows our live stream. When you go to Wawa coming out, now, they giving a date or it's still in the future?
I think it's whenever it's they're actually out of them, and then eventually, once these are more promoted, I think that's what's going to happen. So
gotcha. So be aware that this is what's going on. You're either going to have to buy a Wawa bag for 99 cents, which isn't that bad. $1 for one of these.
Switch hands.
Or $1 for one of these.
There you
Wawa bags. Is not bad. It's a very cool bag.
Yeah, and it's big enough for everything that you need, and it's reusable.
Exactly. So I could, and like I said, I condone Wawa. I love going there.
Exactly.
Great stuff there.
So
I want to go in here, and there is a prize in here. There is a surprise, and the lights have come on again.
Of course, at this moment.
Hallelujah. And here we go. It is a Carson Wentz vinyl figure, number 11, Carson Wentz Eagles Pop Football Collectible. There you go.
I saw that. I immediately thought of you, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get this for Jay as a thank you for letting me come up, be a part of the show.
That is awesome. And I love it. I absolutely thank you so much, Jeff.
No
I
problem.
do appreciate it.
Yeah, I hear later in the season you're going to come out with a variant with like an arm broken and other things going on. So
hopefully not, because I don't want to see him going to Nate Sudfeld or anybody else. We got to keep, and that's one of the things we got. Offensive line, this goes out to you. Keep Carson Wentz healthy. Keep him upright and healthy.
Do your job.
Exactly. Isaac Somalo, this is on you. I'm looking you right in the eyes, Isaac Somalo. Come on. Play better this week. We know you got it in you. Play better. I don't want to see you playing like the trash you put out there last Sunday. Play better. Protect Carson. He's our future. He's our quarterback. Protect him.
Jay's on fire.
Absolutely. And there's also pop collectibles, too, that you can collect here. Has them all on the back there, if you can see that. So, but I love the Carson Wentz one. Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate it. You are the man.
Thank you.
But, so we are going to close up. We've been on the air for a while now. I'm sure people have been tuning in. Any other comments from our listener before I sign off? Or
let me take a look to see if there's anything.
Any other comments there?
Oh, actually, there was a couple, but I was so busy.
Geez, here we go.
Sorry about this, Busty. Let's see what we got here real quick.
We promise to be more attentive on our next stream next week. I promise you.
Absolutely. She subscribed, so that's great. Fortress of Solitude, he needs to go to Fashion Week in Milan. Yeah, okay.
Okay, Fashion Week in Milan. I love that. Let's send him there.
How do you think Jacob will do? Is he okay to play? Yeah, I missed that one, so I do apologize for that one.
Okay. How do I think he'll do? I think he will do okay. I think he will do okay. It's we said Jacob, right?
Yeah, she asked about Jacob.
Okay, I think he's going to do okay. Still working through some things. Last I heard, but I think he will be okay going forward. But again, and there go the lights. So the lights went out. I think that is an indication, Jeff, that we've been on the air for a while.
Maybe they're trying to tell us to get out of the studio.
I think, I think they're trying to. Somebody's trying to send us a message that we've been on the air for a while. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We will be more attentive on our live stream next Friday.
Absolutely.
So tweet us, Facebook us, Instagram us. YouTube us.
Call it in if you want.
And I am going to give Jeff a task this coming Sunday.
Okay.
If you're willing to accept it.
Well, let me hear what it is first.
The task is
go ahead.
If you can come in to the 920 studio a little bit earlier.
Okay.
I've got a camera. Maybe we can live stream our 920 show on YouTube.
We might be able to do that.
Because we got an internet connection. I think we can do it. We can test it out before the show.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
It's just a black screen.
Jeff is a lot of things we do. Jeff is our technical director here. So
official title.
Yes. There we go. So, so keep an eye on it. We may be live streaming our 920 show this coming Sunday, but if not, all you have to do for our 920 show is head over to sportsskilletradio.com. You can download the app, or you can hit listen live, or you can catch us on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. So with that, we will sign off. Jeff, great job today.
Thank you.
With the video and your commentary. Thanks to Ken Moskowitz as well. And once again, give our
listener,
give our YouTube subscriber a shout out.
Busty Bride.
Busty Bride, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I'll give her a quick plug. Check out her YouTube. Apparently, she has some videos on there. Haven't checked it out yet.
Okay.
I figured, hey, she was nice enough to listen to us. We'll throw it back out there.
There you go. Absolutely. Thanks so much, everyone. And we will be back next Sunday afternoon in the 12 o'clock hour with our radio show. And until then, we will see you next week.
Now
have a great weekend.
Out loud as you're driving around in your car.
Join Sports Skillet.
Just what it feels like. So how do you like it?
So what is it? I'm curious.
You like it like this?
My God, do we love football.
Or like this?
I love the sport of baseball.
And what about this?
You can have a sports show without all the vicious talk.
Simple human decency.
Whatever it is that you like.
Yeah, I like chaos.
We've got it covered.
Right?
It's sports the way you like it.
My friends, you may not know this. It's got everything you want.
Here we go. Local and national sports talk that's fresh, in season, and FDA approved. If it's hot, you'll find it cooking with Jeff, Jay, and Kelly. They don't just stir the pot, they add more flavor than the other guys. Get ready to dig in and taste some Sports Skillet.
Tastes good.